So Tuesday, the 29th of March, it was a big day for Lotus, a big day for fans of Lotus, and a big day for pretty much anyone involved with the brand and its history. It was the day that they launched their very first SUV, the Eletre, an electric SUV. The first of its kind, and something that I'm sure a lot of Lotus fans are deeply upset about. I'm a Lotus fan, but I'm not deeply upset about it, and thankfully I was there at the launch to have a look at the car and just sort of obviously be there with all the rest of the press and just get a feel for it. I did a lot of filming on the night, but I didn't vlog from there. I'm not a vlogger. I'm not very good at it. I've tried it in the past. You may have seen in other videos I've done, but it's not my cup of tea. So I just focused on filming the car and getting a feel for it. And then I've taken a few days since the launch of the car, since it was released to the world, to sort of let it sort of sink in. You know, rather than give my sort of raw feelings, I wanted to sort of get an idea of, you know, or let the idea of a Lotus SUV sink in, and also just think about the design and you know, what Lotus have done. So here's some video from the day, and here are some of my thoughts about the car. So when it first rolled out, I honestly thought, it's a little bit Lamborghini, certainly from the front. That front end has got a lot of Lamborghini Urus about it. But actually, the more you start to look at it, it's just that sort of sharp edge that runs along below the sort of, they're not headlights, they look like headlights, but the top sort of day running lights, the headlights are actually sort of indented into the grille, sort of hidden in the dark section of the grille. And the more you look at it, the more you realise that actually it's not that close to the Lamborghini. It's just that it's quite sharp, and obviously Lamborghini are a sports car maker. They want to make an SUV that looks like a sports car, and that's what Lotus have done, and there's going to be some similarities there. As you move down the side of the vehicle and look at it, it's a very simple design. There's lots of smooth surfaces, you know, not a fussy car, which again is something that I do appreciate. Again, certain cars these days, you know, it's almost like they're just trying to make the car too complicated for its own good. There are a few elements of it that are sort of a bit Kia and a bit Nissan in there, if I'm being really sort of brutally honest. But actually, as a cohesive whole, now that, you know, I've had a lot of time to sort of look at the car as a whole, actually those bits all sort of tie in together. Is it the prettiest car ever made? No, but it's an SUV. They're never going to be pretty. It's a form factor that's never going to sort of align itself with sleek lines. But actually, you know, Lotus have done a very good job there. It's very low, it's very squat. It's, you know, it looks like it's been sort of squeezed from a, you know, like a normal size SUV that's sort of been sort of squeezed, and it's got this very sort of elegant sort of tapered look, especially towards the back, and you've got that sort of cool long strip that runs along the back with all of the vents and the gaps and all of the bits and pieces that sort of tie it into being this new sort of Lotus porosity, you know, carved by air or molded by air, or whatever the sort of catchphrase is. And actually, when you look at the details, when you actually, you know, you walk around the car and you spend a bit of time with it, you realise that actually those little details are what make this car quite unique. There's lots of gaps in the bodywork, holes in the bodywork, places where the air is going through. It ties it into things like the Avaya and the Emira, and, you know, Lotuses of the past. You know, my Elise, for example, you know, air comes in through the front of the car. It's channeled through a radiator, and there's the vented up in front of the windscreen. With the Eletre, you've got these sort of hidden vents in the large dark area at the front, which then vent up over the bonnet, and so you've got this air sort of running through the car. And, you know, the air vents round through the wheels, and you've got gaps next to the front doors where air's venting through, and then you've got more air on the vents through on the rear seat pillar, and just various. The more you look, the more sort of interesting details you find, and that for me is what really sort of elevates this car from just being a cash grab for Lotus. Obviously, it's very obvious why they've made this. These cars make money. Let's face it, Porsche would not exist in the form that they exist today if they did not make the Cayenne. And we're all thankful for that, even though people were upset about it at the time. Now the Cayenne, great seller, they sell tons, and now they can make all these amazing sort of sports cars and GT products, etc. Lotus want to repeat that kind of performance because they need a mass market seller, something that gets the brand out there and something that builds up the bottom line so that they can continue to build sports cars, because sports cars don't sell in volume and they don't make massive profits. It's just simple, and there is no reason why Lotus shouldn't be in this market. Everyone else is doing it. Lamborghini's doing it, Bentley's doing it, Rolls-Royce is doing it, Aston Martin's doing it, probably someone else that I'm forgetting. But all of these manufacturers are getting in on the act. Some more successfully than others. The Aston Martin DBX, probably a bit of a hit and a miss. But I think where Aston Martin may have failed and Lotus have definitely succeeded, or at least on the face of it, is on the interior. Now the Aston Martin is a pretty interior, but once you actually start looking at it and touching things, it's all very last generation, and when you're spending that kind of money, last generation just isn't good enough. But in the Lotus, there's just something about that interior that I've never seen an interior quite like it. Yes, it's got the big dominant screen in the middle, which is a bit like a Tesla, but you've also got this really slim LCD screen behind the steering wheel that just shows you just the information that you want, which for me as a driver, actually, I really, really appreciate, because I find a lot of these big screens, I drive an Audi e-tron every day, and that's got it's got a big screen behind the steering wheel, and sometimes I just have it on the most basic setting because there's just too much information right in front of me. I just want to concentrate on the road. That is, for me, that design is really, really cool. I like what they've done. They've mirrored it with the passenger side, so the passenger's got some information in front of them as well. Then you've got an interesting use of materials and just the way that they sort of laid it out. It's not a game changer, but it feels luxurious, it feels expensive, and I think that based on that price, they're hopefully going to sell really, really well, because it's actually looks far more expensive than it actually is. They're saying going to start under 100,000, whether that means £99,999, I don't know, or whether or not that's actually more closer to sort of the 80,000. We'll have to wait and see. I would imagine it's probably closer to the £100,000 mark. We're going to be getting over 600 horsepower. It's going to be four-wheel drive. I don't know whether or not that's going to be 2 electric motors or whether or not it's going to be 4 like the Evija. But we're going to get 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds. Some people have been saying sort of 2.6 to 2.8 seconds, which would be absolutely bonkers if that's true. And there's possibly going to be even more powerful ones that are going to come down the line. So there's a lot that we don't know yet. But the most important thing is that we know what it looks like and we know what it represents. Obviously, what we've seen so far, they're just mules, not even mules. They're show cars. They're rolling examples of what it looks like. But the real car itself is still in the development stage. But there are working prototypes out there running and being thrown around. So this isn't another one of the sort of Lotus concept cars from years gone by that's going to appear and then disappear. It's a real thing, and it will be coming out in the not too distant future. But to summarise, I think I am a Lotus owner. I have an Elise, which for me at 720 odd kilos, I think the last time I weighed it, is still too heavy for me. I'd like it to be lighter. I like that lightweight, stripped out philosophy of that particular car. But I also appreciate that Lotus have made some proper sort of Grand Tourer, luxury cars, not in the sense that, say Aston Martin or Ferrari might have done, but in a very Lotus way. They've done this sort of, 4-seater Grand Tourer type thing before. So, it's not too much of a jump from what they've done in the past to what they're doing now. And fundamentally, it might well bring in new people to the brand, or it might allow people who want to have an Emira for the weekends and then an Eletre for day to day. It's only going to benefit Lotus as a brand going forward. And we are in a situation where these manufacturers are going to have to change and move with the times. So fundamentally, I think is it the best looking car ever? No. Is it one of the best looking SUVs? Possibly. I mean, I'm a bit old-fashioned. I do just quite like a plain boxy Range Rover, and the latest Range Rover does look pretty cool. But as SUVs go, in the, you know, compared to like the Cayenne or the Urus, especially the Urus, I think it wipes the floor with it. But then I'll be honest, I hate the Urus. I really hate the Urus. It's not a car I like. But yeah, I think they've done a great job, and I think the interior is fantastic. It is leagues above anything else I've seen, just for the way that it makes you feel, and having sat in it and sort of just poked around, it's just very, very cool. So overall, I think it's a very good statement of intent for Lotus. I think it's hopefully going to sell in good volume compared to what they've sold in the past. So yeah, I as a Lotus fan, I have no issue with it whatsoever. So yeah, that's my thoughts. And yeah, but I'd love to know what your thoughts are down in the comment. I'm sure it's going to divide opinion. You know, just have a conversation in the comments below. Let me know what you think of it and whether you think it's a good idea, bad idea, do you like the design, etc., etc. Yeah, just, you know, get involved. But anyway, if you like the video, please give it a like, and please do subscribe for more videos coming soon. I've got quite a lot of videos that I've filmed in the past and haven't got around to putting out yet, so they're going to be coming in the next weeks and months as I've got more time on my hands and start getting those things out there. So yeah, so thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.